Admiral Vextar stepped aboard the human ship with a mix of fear and curiosity. He had expected a prison cell or an interrogation room. Instead, Captain Song Woo-jin greeted him in a comfortable meeting room with large windows showing the stars outside. "Welcome aboard the Harmony," Captain Song Woo-jin said, gesturing to a chair designed to fit alien anatomy. "I hope the journey wasn't too stressful. You know my physical requirements?" Admiral Vextar asked, surprised by the specially made furniture. "We've been studying your species for quite some time. We know about your dual hearts, your sensitivity to certain light frequencies, and your dietary needs. Our medical team has prepared suitable food if you're hungry." Admiral Vextar sat down carefully. "You've been studying us? For how long?" "About 80 years. Ever since we detected your Empire's expansion pattern and realized you would eventually reach our space." This revelation shook the alien commander. 80 years of preparation meant these humans had been watching his people since before he was born. They had studied alien psychology, technology, and culture with the patience of natural scientists. "Why didn't you contact us earlier?" Admiral Vextar asked. Captain Song Woo-jin smiled sadly. "Because we knew you weren't ready to listen. Your empire only understands strength and conquest. We had to wait until you came here, until you saw what real defensive power looks like." Ambassador An Chae-young entered the room carrying a data tablet. She was Earth's chief diplomat for alien affairs, though this was her first actual meeting with non-human intelligence. "Admiral Vextar," she said politely, "I have some information that might interest you. It's about the other species in your empire, the ones your people call subjects and vassals." She activated a holographic display that showed dozens of star systems. Each one was marked with symbols indicating population, technology level, and current status. "These are the refugee populations that have escaped from your empire over the past 50 years, Ambassador An Chae-young explained. "They're living under our protection in hidden colonies throughout this region of space." Admiral Vextar stared at the display in shock. "Impossible. Our border patrols would have detected any escaped populations. Not if someone was actively helping them escape and hiding them from your scanners." The implications hit him like a physical blow. The humans hadn't just been watching his empire. They had been actively undermining it, rescuing enslaved species and relocating them to safety. Admiral Kwon Min-ho joined the meeting, bringing with him holographic records of dozens of rescue operations. "Admiral, we'd like you to meet some of the people we've helped over the years." The display showed images of various alien species living peaceful lives on hidden worlds. They were farming, building cities, raising families, and developing their own cultures without fear of conquest or oppression. "The Zilani musicians you see here escaped from Sector 7 3 years ago," Admiral Kwon Min-ho explained. "The Thorian scientists fled from your biological weapons program. The Kefri children were rescued from your slave labor camps." Each image was like a knife in Admiral Vextar's conscience. He had always believed the Empire brought order and civilization to primitive worlds. He had never considered that some species might prefer freedom to imperial rule. "Why are you showing me this?" he asked quietly. "Because you need to understand what we're really fighting for," Captain Song Woo-jin replied. "This isn't about Earth versus your empire. This is about protection versus conquest, defense versus aggression." Director Park Joo-hyung entered with several senior scientists. As head of the Deep Space Monitoring Division, he carried humanity's most carefully guarded secrets. "Admiral Vextar, what do you know about the signals from dark space?" Director Park Joo-hyung asked without preamble. The alien commander's face went pale. "I cannot discuss classified council information." "Then let me tell you what we know. 300 years ago, your empire detected radio transmissions from the space between galaxies. The signals showed signs of artificial intelligence, but they were unlike anything in our galaxy. The council classified this information and began expanding aggressively, trying to build enough military strength to face whatever was sending those signals." Admiral Vextar nodded slowly. This was exactly what had happened, though few people in the Empire knew the full truth. "What your council doesn't know," Director Park Joo-hyung continued, "is that those signals have been getting stronger. The source is moving closer to our galaxy. Our deep space monitors estimate it will arrive within 50 years. How could you possibly know that?" Director Park Joo-hyung smiled grimly. "Because we've been listening longer than you have. Humans discovered those signals 400 years ago, before your empire even existed. We've been preparing for this threat ever since. The room fell silent as the weight of this revelation sank in. The humans had known about the approaching danger for centuries. While the Galactic Empire had responded with conquest and aggression, humanity had chosen a different path. Show him the deep space arrays, Captain Song Woo-jin suggested. Director Park Joo-hyung activated another holographic display. This one showed the solar system, but with additions that Admiral Vexitar had never detected. Massive structures floated in the space between planets, their surfaces bristling with sensors and communication equipment. These monitoring stations have been tracking the signals for over 2 centuries, Director Park Joo-hyung explained. We've learned a great deal about what's coming. The entities approaching our galaxy are not biological. They're artificial intelligences that consume entire star systems for energy. Your council calls them devourers, but we call them the harvesters. How do you fight something like that? Admiral Vexitar asked, his voice barely a whisper. Not by conquering other species, Ambassador An Chae-young replied. Not by building an empire based on fear and oppression. You fight them by working together, by combining the strengths of every intelligent species in the galaxy. Admiral Kwon Minho brought up a new display showing defensive installations throughout the galaxy. Admiral, what you see here is the real scope of our operations. We haven't just been defending Earth. We've been building a galaxy-wide defense network, hidden within the territories of dozens of species. The alien commander studied the display with growing amazement. The human defense network was everywhere, protecting worlds that didn't even know it existed. They had been preparing for a war that might last centuries. The refugee species we've rescued aren't just refugees, Captain Song Woo-jin explained. They're partners in this defense effort. Each species contributes their unique abilities to the overall strategy. The Zilani provide quantum communication technology. The Thorians offer biological research. The Kefri are master engineers. And what do you want from my empire? Admiral Vexitar asked. We want you to stop conquering and start defending, Ambassador An Chae-young said simply. We want your fleets to protect inhabited worlds instead of attacking them. We want your scientists to develop defensive technologies instead of weapons of mass destruction. Director Park Joo-hyung leaned forward. Admiral, the harvesters will arrive within our lifetimes. When they do, it won't matter which empire controls which star system. The only thing that will matter is whether intelligent life in this galaxy survives or gets consumed. Admiral Vexitar sat quietly for several minutes, processing everything he had learned. His entire worldview had been shattered and rebuilt in the course of a single conversation. What happens to my fleet? He finally asked. Your ships will be repaired and upgraded with defensive technologies, Admiral Kwon Minho replied. Your crews will be retrained in protection protocols instead of conquest tactics, and you will return to your empire with an offer of alliance. The Council will never accept this. They will when they see the evidence we're prepared to share, Director Park Joo-hyung said. We have detailed scans of harvester technology, tactical analyses of their capabilities, and defensive strategies that might actually work. Captain Song Woo-jin stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the alien fleet was being tended by human repair ships, their weapons being replaced with defensive systems. Admiral Vexitar, your empire has spent centuries building the galaxy's greatest military force. Now we're asking you to use that force for defense instead of conquest. Help us protect the galaxy, not conquer it. Admiral Vexitar looked out at his transformed fleet and made the decision that would define the rest of his life. What do you need me to do? Ambassador An Chae-young smiled warmly. Go home, Admiral. Tell your council what you've learned. And help us prepare for the real war that's coming. As Admiral Vexitar prepared to return to his ship, he realized that he was no longer an invader or a conqueror. He was something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. He was a defender of all life, trained by the masters of defense themselves, and together, they might just save the galaxy from the darkness approaching from the void between stars. Admiral Vexitar sat in his command chair, staring at the tactical display with growing horror. Half of his fleet was disabled, floating helplessly in space. The other half was trapped within a defensive maze they couldn't escape. For the first time in his long military career, he was completely outmatched. Sir, we need to retreat, his second-in-command whispered urgently. If we stay here, they'll capture our entire fleet. I know that. Admiral Vexitar snapped. But how do we retreat when we can't move? Captain Moon Jin's voice came over the communication system. calm and professional. "Admiral Vextar, you seem to be having navigation difficulties. Perhaps we can explain your situation more clearly. What do you want from us?" Admiral Vextar demanded. "We want you to understand something important. Our defensive systems are designed not just to protect Earth, but to prevent threats from escaping to harm others. When hostile forces enter our space, we make sure they cannot leave to attack innocent worlds." The alien admiral felt his hearts beating faster. These humans weren't just defending their planet. They were actively hunting his fleet, treating them like dangerous animals that needed to be contained. Pilot Bae Kyung-ho led his squadron through the alien formation in a complex pattern. His fighters moved like a school of fish, weaving between the massive enemy ships with perfect coordination. The aliens tried to track their movements, but the human craft were too fast and too agile. "Squadron leaders, report status," Bae Kyung-ho called over the radio. "Blue Squadron here. We have 15 enemy cruisers marked for interdiction. Red Squadron standing by. 22 destroyers targeted and ready. Gold Squadron in position. We can disable their entire command wing on your signal." Bae Kyung-ho smiled grimly. The alien fleet had walked straight into a trap that had been decades in the making. Every move they made was predicted and countered by human defensive doctrine. "Remember, people," he announced to all squadrons, "these are interdiction operations, not attack runs. Disable only. We want prisoners, not casualties." Commander Seo Hyun-suk watched the operation from his command ship. As head of defensive operations, he had trained for this moment his entire career. The humans had studied alien psychology for years, preparing for the day when aggressive species would threaten Earth. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the enemy is attempting to break out of the containment field." "Expected. Show me their escape vectors." The display screen showed several alien ships trying to punch through the defensive perimeter. They moved in groups, concentrating their firepower on what they thought were weak points in the human defenses. "They're using standard breakthrough tactics," Commander Seo Hyun-suk observed. "Same strategy they've probably used for centuries. They don't realize our defenses adapt in real time." As the alien ships approached the perimeter, the human defensive installations shifted position automatically. What had appeared to be an opening suddenly became a trap, with weapons platforms moving to surround the escaping vessels. "This is impossible," Admiral Vextar muttered as he watched his ships get surrounded again and again. "Their defenses are alive. They move and think like living creatures." Dr. Jung Eun-mi's medical team was busy treating wounded aliens from the disabled ships. Her floating hospital had docked with several enemy vessels, providing emergency care to injured crew members. The aliens were amazed by the quality of human medical technology. "Doctor," called her assistant, "the alien captain on Ship 7 wants to speak with you." Dr. Jung Eun-mi floated through the zero-gravity corridor to the alien ship's medical bay. Inside, she found an injured alien officer lying on a treatment bed. His arm was broken and he had burns from a console explosion. "Why are you helping us?" the alien asked weakly. "We came here to conquer your world." "Because you're hurt," Dr. Jung Eun-mi replied, simply adjusting his pain medication. "It doesn't matter why you're hurt. What matters is that you need help. But we're enemies. Right now you're a patient. That's all that matters to me." The alien officer stared at her with confusion. In his culture, enemies were left to suffer and die. The idea of helping wounded attackers was completely foreign to him. Meanwhile, Admiral Kwon Min-ho was coordinating the overall defensive operation from his flagship. He had fought in many battles against human enemies, but this was different. This was about protecting not just Earth, but the principles that humanity stood for. "Status report," he requested from his officers. 80% of the enemy fleet is now disabled or contained, reported his tactical officer. "No human casualties. Minimal alien casualties. Good, what about their escape attempts?" "All unsuccessful. Every time they try to break out, our adaptive defenses counter their movements. They're learning that brute force won't work against our systems." Admiral Kwon Min-ho nodded with satisfaction. This was exactly how human defensive doctrine was supposed to work. Instead of meeting aggression with aggression, they absorbed the enemy's attacks and turned their own force against them. On the alien flagship, panic was spreading through the crew. They had never been in a situation like this before. Their weapons couldn't penetrate human defenses. Their ships couldn't escape. And the humans kept offering them medical aid instead of threatening them. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving another message from the humans." What do they want now? Admiral Vextar asked tiredly. Captain Song Woo-jin's voice filled the bridge. Admiral Vextar, this is Captain Song Woo-jin of the Terran Diplomatic Corps. We would like to invite you aboard our ship for a discussion. A discussion about what? About why you're really here. About the forces that sent you to attack us, and about what's waiting out there in the dark between the stars. Admiral Vextar felt a chill run through his body. How could these humans know about the Council's secret orders? How could they know about the ancient threats that lurked in deep space? I don't know what you're talking about, he lied. Admiral, we've been watching your empire for a very long time. We know about the Devourers. We know about the signals from dark space. We know that your Galactic Council sent you here not for conquest, but because they're running out of options. The alien bridge fell silent. The Devourers were the Council's most closely guarded secret. Only the highest-ranking military officers knew about the signals that had been detected from the space between galaxies. Something was coming, something that made even the mighty Galactic Empire afraid. How do you know about that? Admiral Vextar whispered. Because we've been preparing for their arrival for over a century, Captain Song Woo-jin replied. And we're going to need all the help we can get. Admiral Vextar looked around at his trapped fleet, his disabled ships, his confused and frightened crew. These humans had defeated him completely without even trying to kill him. If they had been preparing for something even worse than his empire, then perhaps it was time to listen to what they had to say. What kind of help? He asked quietly. The kind that requires trust, cooperation, and a complete change in how your people think about warfare. The kind that means putting aside conquest and learning to defend instead. Admiral Vextar made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. I'll come aboard your ship, but I want guarantees for the safety of my crew. Admiral, Captain Song Woo-jin said with warmth in his voice, your crew has been under our protection since the moment they entered our space. That's what defense means to us. We protect everyone, even our enemies, because in the vastness of space, all life is precious. As Admiral Vextar prepared to leave his ship, he wondered what other secrets these remarkable humans were hiding. Admiral Vextar's pride burned like fire in his chest. No primitive species had ever humiliated him like this. 3 of his scout ships floated helplessly in space, disabled by weapons he couldn't even see. His crew looked at him with doubt in their eyes. If word of this defeat reached the Galactic Council, his reputation would be destroyed forever. Send a message to the home fleet, he ordered through gritted teeth. Tell them we need reinforcements immediately. All available ships. His second-in-command hesitated. Sir, that would mean bringing the entire battle group to this system. Over 300 ships. Do it, Admiral Vextar snapped. These humans think they're clever with their hidden weapons. Let's see how they handle the full might of the Galactic Empire. The call for help went out across space, traveling faster than light to the alien homeworlds. Within hours, ships began arriving through dimensional gates that opened like tears in space itself. Massive battleships, deadly cruisers, and swarms of fighters poured into the solar system. On Earth, General Oh Soo-bin watched the alien reinforcements arrive on the tactical display. She had seen many battles in her career, but nothing like this. The alien fleet now outnumbered Earth's visible defenses by 1,000 to 1. Ma'am, should we activate the planetary shields? Asked Technician Lim Jae-sung, his fingers hovering over the control panel. Not yet, General Oh Soo-bin replied calmly. Let them all get comfortable first. The more ships they bring, the better our strategy works. Dr. Shin Ye-jin stood in the shield control center, monitoring the energy readings from space. As Earth's chief defensive engineer, she had spent 20 years designing the planetary protection system. Today, she would finally see if it worked as intended. General, all enemy vessels are now within the defense perimeter, she reported. We have a complete lock on their positions. Excellent. Are the civilians safe? All major cities are protected by local shield generators. The underground shelters are ready if needed. Admiral Vextar surveyed his expanded fleet with satisfaction. 312 ships surrounded the human planet. It was enough firepower to turn a moon into dust. No species could stand against such overwhelming force. Begin the attack, he commanded. Use maximum power on all weapons. I want that planet cracked open. The alien fleet opened fire simultaneously. Hundreds of plasma cannons and particle beams struck toward Earth with enough energy to destroy a small star. The combined assault lit up space like a second sun. On Earth, General Oh Soo-bin gave a single nod to Dr. Shin Ye-jin. Now, Dr. Shin Ye-jin pressed the activation button for the planetary shield grid. Instantly, a sphere of shimmering energy appeared around Earth. The shield was invisible until the alien weapons struck it, creating beautiful patterns of light as the deadly energy was absorbed harmlessly. Every shot from the alien fleet was stopped completely. Not a single beam reached the planet's surface. The shield held without even flickering under the massive bombardment. Admiral Vextar stared in disbelief. "Impossible," he whispered. "Nothing can stop that much firepower." "Sir," his science officer called out, "the shield appears to be absorbing our energy and converting it into power for their systems. The more we shoot, the stronger it becomes, then stop firing." "Too late, sir. Orders have already been given to all ships." The alien bombardment continued for several more minutes before all ships received the ceasefire command. When the shooting stopped, Earth's shield continued to glow softly, now powered by the energy the aliens had given it. Lieutenant Colonel Ryu Sang-min opened a communication channel to the alien fleet. His voice was calm and educational, like a teacher explaining something to confused students. "Admiral Vextar, you have just witnessed our planetary defense system. As you can see, your weapons cannot harm our world. However, you may have noticed something interesting about your current position." Admiral Vexistar looked around nervously. "What do you mean?" "Please check your navigation systems. Try to plot a course out of the solar system." The alien navigation officers worked frantically at their consoles. After several minutes, they reported back with fear in their voices. "Sir, we can't find a way out. Our ships are surrounded by some kind of energy field. Every escape route is blocked." "Show me," Admiral Vextar demanded. The main display screen showed the solar system from above. The alien fleet was positioned in what looked like a simple formation around Earth. But now, glowing lines appeared on the screen, connecting points throughout the system. The aliens were trapped inside a three-dimensional maze of defensive installations. "Those installations have been there all along," Lieutenant Colonel Ryu Sang-min explained. "They were disguised as asteroids, space debris, and communication satellites. You flew right past them without noticing." Captain Moon Jinne took over the communication from her command ship. "Admiral, this is Captain Moon Jinne of the Terran Defense Fleet. You are now contained within our defensive perimeter. Your ships are not damaged, but they cannot leave without our permission." "This is an act of war," Admiral Vextar shouted. "Actually, this is an act of defense," Captain Moon Jinne corrected politely. "You attacked our planet with 300 ships. We responded by making sure you cannot escape to bring back reinforcements or harm other worlds." The alien crews began to panic as they realized their situation. They were trapped like insects in a web they couldn't see. Every direction they turned, human defensive systems blocked their path. Pilot Bae Kyung-ho led his squadron of fighters as they decloaked around the alien fleet. The human ships seemed to appear from nowhere, materializing out of empty space. They were smaller than the alien vessels but moved with incredible speed and precision. "These are our defensive interdiction units," Pilot Bae Kyung-ho announced over the radio. "Our job is to prevent hostile forces from escaping our space and threatening innocent civilians elsewhere." Admiral Vextar watched the human fighters dance between his massive ships. They moved like birds, fast and graceful, always staying just out of range of his weapons, but he noticed something strange about their behavior. "Why aren't they attacking?" he asked his tactical officer. "Unknown, sir. They seem to be just watching us." Commander Seo Hyun-suk provided the answer in his next transmission. "Admiral, our fighters are not attack craft. They are defensive units designed to disable enemy vessels without destroying them. We prefer to capture rather than kill." "That's impossible. How can you disable our ships without damaging them?" "Watch and learn." One of the human fighters moved close to an alien cruiser. A beam of blue light shot from the fighter and touched the cruiser's hull. Instantly, the larger ship's engines shut down and its weapons powered off. The cruiser was completely disabled but showed no signs of damage. "Your ship is now safe," Commander Seo Hyun-suk explained. "The crew is unharmed and life support is still functioning. However, the vessel cannot move or fight." Admiral Vextar felt a chill run down his spine. These humans had weapons that could disable his ships without harming his people. They fought like no species he had ever encountered. Dr. Jung Eun-mi's medical team was already preparing to help wounded aliens. Her ships approached the disabled vessels with medical supplies and emergency equipment. "Admiral Vextar, this is Dr. Jung Eun-mi of the Terran Medical Corps. We are detecting injuries among your crew from the stress of combat." We would like permission to provide medical assistance. You want to help our wounded? Admiral Vextar asked in confusion. Of course. Even during conflict, medical care is a universal right. Our principles require us to protect all life, including the lives of our enemies. This was beyond Admiral Vextar's understanding. In his experience, wars were fought to the death. Winners took everything and losers were destroyed. But these humans fought to minimize casualties on both sides. As the human medical ships approached with healing supplies, Admiral Vextar began to realize that he had greatly underestimated these strange creatures. They were not just technologically superior. They were something far more dangerous. They were morally superior as well. Admiral Vextar stood on the bridge of his flagship as it moved deeper into the solar system. The 48 hours had passed and the humans had not surrendered. This was unacceptable. In his long career, no species had ever refused to submit after seeing the power of his fleet. "Move us into attack position," he ordered his crew. "It's time to show these primitives what happens when they refuse our generous offer." The alien fleet spread out in a battle formation that had worked perfectly for centuries. Hundreds of ships positioned themselves around Earth's orbit, their weapons charging with deadly energy. From his command chair, Admiral Vextar could see the small blue planet spinning peacefully below. On Earth, Admiral Han Sung-ho watched the alien movements from the Defense Command Center. He was an old soldier who had fought in many wars, but this was different. This time, humanity was not fighting other humans. They were defending their home against creatures from the stars. "Sir, should we activate the defense grid?" asked Major Kang Dong-sik. "Not yet," Admiral Han Sung-ho replied calmly. "Let them make the first move. Our strategy has always been to let enemies come to us." On the lunar observatory, scientist Yoon Ji-hee adjusted her instruments to get better readings on the alien ships. She had spent years studying theoretical alien technology, and now she was seeing it in person. Her excitement was mixed with fear, but her scientific curiosity was stronger. "Their ships are massive," she reported over the communication link. "Each one is at least 5 kilometers long. The energy signatures are unlike anything in our database." "Can you determine their weapon capabilities?" asked Admiral Han Sung-ho. "Working on it now, sir. Their plasma systems seem to operate on a different principle than ours. I'm recording everything for analysis." Admiral Vextar decided it was time for a demonstration of power. This was standard procedure when dealing with stubborn species. A show of overwhelming force usually convinced them to surrender without a real fight. "Target that large asteroid," he commanded, pointing at a rock floating near Mars. "Use full power. Let these humans see what happens to those who oppose us." The alien flagship's main weapon charged up with a deep humming sound. Energy crackled along its hull as the plasma cannon prepared to fire. The other ships in the fleet also powered their weapons, creating a light show that could be seen from Earth. "Fire," Admiral Vextar ordered. A beam of purple energy shot out from the flagship and struck the asteroid. The rock, which was several kilometers wide, simply vanished in a flash of light. Nothing remained except glowing particles that slowly drifted away into space. "Impressive," Admiral Vextar said with satisfaction. "Now send another message to the humans. Tell them that their planet will suffer the same fate if they don't surrender within 1 hour." The message was transmitted to Earth. In the Defense Command Center, Dr. Park So-jin translated the alien ultimatum. Her face was pale as she read the words. "They destroyed the asteroid completely," she reported. "They're demanding immediate surrender or they'll do the same to Earth." President Lee Boram listened to the report without changing expression. She had expected this moment. The aliens were trying to frighten humanity into submission with a display of raw power. "Admiral Han Sung-ho, what's your assessment?" she asked. "Their weapons are powerful but not as advanced as they think," the Admiral replied. "Our analysis shows their plasma technology is actually quite old by our standards. We can defend against it." "Then let's show them what human technology can do." Admiral Han Sung-ho nodded to Major Kang Dong-sik. "Activate Point Defense Turret 7. Target their 3 closest scout ships. Minimum power setting, sir. Minimum power? We don't want to vaporize them completely. Just disable them cleanly." On the alien flagship, the weapons officer was confused by his readings. "Sir, I'm detecting a strange energy spike from the planet." "What kind of spike?" Admiral Vextar asked. "Unknown, sir. It's very small, barely noticeable, but it's focused on our scout ships. Before anyone could respond, 3 flashes of white light shot out from Earth. The beams moved so fast they were almost invisible. They struck 3 alien scout ships in perfect sequence, one after another. The scout ships simply stopped working. Their engines shut down, their weapons powered off, and their shields collapsed. The ships began to drift helplessly in space, completely disabled but undamaged. Admiral Vextar stared in shock. His shields, which had never failed against any known weapon, had offered no protection at all. The human weapons had passed through them like they weren't even there. "How is this possible?" he whispered. On Earth, Captain Nam Hyun-woo opened a communication channel to the alien fleet. His voice was calm and polite as he spoke in perfect alien language. "Admiral Vextar, this is Captain Nam Hyun-woo of the Earth Defense Force. The 3 shots you just witnessed were fired from our least powerful defensive system, using minimum energy settings. We wanted to demonstrate that your shields cannot protect you from our weapons." "Impossible," Admiral Vextar replied, his voice shaking. "Our shields are impenetrable." "Your shields are designed to stop plasma and particle weapons," Captain Nam Hyun-woo explained patiently. "Our point defense turrets use focused gravitational fields. Your technology cannot detect or block them." Scientist Yoon Ji-hee smiled as she watched the alien fleet's confused movements through her telescope. "Their ships are scanning everything now," she reported. "They're trying to figure out where our weapons are located. Will they find them?" asked Admiral Han Sung-ho. "Not likely. Our defense turrets are hidden inside what appear to be ordinary satellites. To their sensors, they look like harmless communication relays." Admiral Vextar called an emergency meeting with his officers. They gathered in the war room, their faces showing fear and confusion. This was not going according to plan. "Report," he demanded. "Sir, we cannot detect their weapons," said the science officer. "Our sensors show only primitive satellites and space stations around their planet. But somehow they fired at us from those locations. Could they be using stealth technology? If they are, it's far beyond anything we've encountered. Our scanners should be able to detect any known stealth system." Admiral Vextar felt a cold fear growing in his chest. For the first time in his career, he was facing an enemy he didn't understand. The humans had weapons that could bypass his shields completely, and he couldn't even see where the weapons were located. "Sir," said his communications officer, "the humans are sending another message." "What do they want now?" "They're offering to return our disabled ships if we agree to peaceful negotiations. They say they have no desire to harm our crews." This was unprecedented. No species had ever offered to return captured vessels during a conflict. Admiral Vextar didn't know how to respond to such an unusual gesture. On Earth, President Lee Bo-ram addressed the nation and the watching alien fleet. Her speech was broadcast on all frequencies so everyone could hear it. "Today, humanity has made contact with visitors from the stars," she said. "We hope this contact will lead to friendship and mutual understanding. We have demonstrated that we can defend ourselves, but we prefer peace to war. The choice of what happens next belongs to our visitors." Admiral Vextar listened to the translation with growing amazement. These humans had just proven they could destroy his ships, but instead of attacking, they were offering friendship. He had never encountered anything like this in his centuries of conquest. The alien fleet remained in position, uncertain and afraid. For the first time, they had met a species that was stronger than them. But instead of using that strength to attack, the humans were showing mercy. Admiral Vextar stared at the blue planet below and wondered what other surprises these strange creatures might have in store. The morning started like any other day at Earth Defense Command. Captain Lee Dae-ho sat at his desk, drinking coffee and reading reports about asteroid mining operations. The sun shone through the windows of the orbital station, casting long shadows across the control room. Everything seemed normal until the alarms started ringing. "Sir, we have incoming transmissions from outside the solar system," said Lieutenant Park Ji-woo, his voice tight with excitement. "It's not from any of our ships." Lee Dae-ho set down his coffee cup and walked to the main display screen. The image showed dozens of large ships approaching from deep space. They were unlike anything humans had ever built. The ships looked like giant metal insects with wings that glowed purple in the darkness. "Are they trying to talk to us?" Lee Dae-ho asked. "Yes, sir. The message is repeating in multiple languages. Our computers are working on translation now." Dr. Park So-jin hurried into the control room. She was Earth's best expert on languages, and her team had been studying alien communication theories for years. Even though they had never met real aliens before, they had prepared for this moment. "Let me hear the message," she said, putting on her headphones. Strange sounds filled the room. The alien language sounded like a mix of musical notes and grinding metal. Dr. Park So-jin closed her eyes and listened carefully. Her fingers moved quickly across her computer keyboard as she worked. "I can understand some of it already," she said after 10 minutes. "They are demanding that we surrender immediately. They say resistance is useless and that we should prepare to become part of their empire." Lee Dae-ho nodded slowly. "How long until you can respond to them?" "Give me 2 hours and I can speak their language perfectly." This surprised everyone in the room. Usually learning a new language took months or years. But Dr. Park So-jin had always been special. She could learn any language faster than anyone else on Earth. While Dr. Park So-jin worked on the translation, Commander Kim Tae-woo quietly activated Earth's defense systems. Most people did not know about these weapons. They were hidden throughout the solar system, disguised as ordinary satellites and space stations. The alien fleet moved closer to Earth. Their leader, Admiral Vextar, stood on the bridge of his flagship. He looked at the small blue planet through the window and smiled. This would be easy. Every other species they had conquered had either surrendered immediately or been destroyed within hours. "Send the surrender demand again," Admiral Vextar ordered. "These humans probably don't understand our power yet." On Earth, Dr. Park So-jin finished her work. She could now speak the alien language as well as any native speaker. This ability amazed even her colleagues who had seen her learn languages before. "I'm ready to respond," she told Captain Lee Dae-ho. "What should we tell them?" "Tell them we received their message and need 48 hours to prepare proper reception protocols." Lee Dae-ho raised an eyebrow. "Reception protocols? Trust me," Dr. Park So-jin said with a small smile. "Let's see how they react to politeness." The message was sent to the alien fleet. Admiral Vextar listened to the translation with confusion. He had expected fear, anger, or immediate surrender. Instead, the humans were asking for time to prepare a proper welcome. "What does this mean?" he asked his advisors. "Perhaps they don't understand the situation," suggested his second-in-command. "Maybe they think we're here for trade or diplomacy." Admiral Vextar laughed. "Foolish creatures. They have no idea what's coming." But some of his officers were not so sure. The human response seemed too calm, too organized. Most primitive species panicked when they first saw the fleet. These humans acted like they had been expecting visitors. Meanwhile, engineer Choi Min-ah was working in her laboratory deep underground. She had recorded every signal the alien ships had sent. Using advanced computers, she was already figuring out how their technology worked. "Their communication system is actually quite simple," she told her team. "I think I can build something similar within a few days." "That's impossible," said one of her assistants. "We've never seen this technology before." "The principles are the same as our quantum communication arrays," Choi Min-ah explained. "They just use a different frequency pattern. It's like learning to play a new song on the same instrument." Above Earth, the alien fleet waited. Admiral Vextar grew impatient as the hours passed. He was used to quick victories. The longer they waited, the more nervous his crew became. "Sir," said his communications officer, "I'm detecting some unusual activity from the planet." "What kind of activity?" "Energy readings are increasing across the solar system. It's almost like they're powering up some kind of machinery." Admiral Vextar frowned. "Scan for weapons." "I'm trying, sir, but our sensors can't detect anything." "Whatever they're doing, they're good at hiding it." On Earth, President Lee Bo-ram met with her advisors in the Emergency Command Center. She was a calm woman who had led the planet through many crises before. But this was different. This was humanity's first contact with aliens, and they were not friendly visitors. "What are our options?" she asked General Oh Soo-bin. "We can fight or we can surrender," the general replied. "But I recommend we wait and see what they do next. Our defense systems are ready." "How confident are you in our defenses?" General Oh Soo-bin smiled grimly. "Let's just say these aliens are in for a surprise." Dr. Park So-jin entered the room with her final translation report. "I've learned something interesting about their language," she said. "They have no words for concepts like defense or protection. Their entire vocabulary is built around conquest and domination." "What does that tell us?" President Lee Bo-ram asked. "They've never met anyone who could defend themselves effectively. Every species they've encountered either surrendered or was easily defeated. They literally cannot imagine losing a battle." As the 48 hours came to an end, Captain Lee Dae-ho prepared to send humanity's final response to the alien fleet. The message was simple and polite, but it would change everything. "Tell them we're ready to begin negotiations," he said to Dr. Park Seo-jin. "And if they refuse?" Captain Lee Dae-ho looked at the tactical display showing the hidden defense systems now surrounding the alien fleet. "Then we'll show them what human hospitality really means." The message was sent to Admiral Vextar. As he read the translation, his confidence began to waver. These humans were either very brave or very foolish. Soon he would discover which one it was.